Hello everyone. So it's December and I thought maybe we might like to draw a Christmas tree. Those of you that do not celebrate Christmas, because a lot of people don't, everybody celebrates December the 25th or that vacation day or holiday in different ways. If you do not participate in Christmas or celebrate Christmas, when it comes time for us to draw a Christmas tree, you can go out and look at in your yard and find a tree and draw a picture of that tree in the yard. But I'd like for you to watch the video just for historical value on the history of Christmas trees. Okay, this Christmas tree was the first one that I could find a photograph of because, we haven't always had cameras. And so this is the first one that I could find, or the latest one that I could find a picture of, or the earliest, which was back in the early late 1800s when we had cameras and we were taking pictures of things. And this is a picture of a tree in a house where the tree is too big for the house. And this kind of reminds me of my first Christmas tree. When my husband and I went out and cut our own Christmas tree down, we saw some that were much larger than the one that we chose, but we chose the one that we did because we thought it was small enough to fit into our house. But when we got home, we realized it was much larger than we had thought. They look smaller outside than they do once you get them inside the house. So to alleviate the problem for us, we cut a little bit of the top out and we cut a lot of the bottom off so that it would fit. Apparently these people chose to just cram it in there, and you can see that it's kind of touching the ceiling and kind of spreading out. But another thing that I wanted you to see is how they didn't pay a close attention to the decorations. It looks like they kind of just threw them up there, doesn't it? There's no rhyme or reason or no order to the decorating. They have, back in those days, they had ornaments that were made out of maybe glass or tin or something that would be shiny to brighten the tree. Of course, they didn't have electricity there. You can see that the lamp that is hanging is actually a gas lamp, and they did not have electricity, so they did not have lights on the tree. This picture is a picture of a tree in a schoolhouse, and the ceiling in a schoolhouse is really tall, especially the older ones. But here again, you can see where the decorations are just thrown on. We used to, when I was younger, and I'm 67, so that was a long time ago. I was a young child in going to school in the late 50s and the early 60s, and we always had a Christmas tree in our classroom. I think that was tradition way back in maybe the 1700s. They've always had Christmas trees in the classroom. Some teachers try to carry on tradition, and most schools do have a Christmas tree in their school. But it's not as prevalent as it was in earlier days. So your teacher may or may not have a Christmas tree in her room or his room. Here's a Christmas tree where they're starting to put lights on it. They could not put lights on because they didn't have electricity. The lamp that you see in the background is a gas lamp, and it's run by gas. So what they did to put lights on their Christmas tree was they would kind of glue or melt the candle and stick it onto something that was similar to a clothespin that would clip onto the branches. So you can see that this is actual fire on the tree. They had to be very, very careful because if the tree was dry, it might catch on fire. That might be why you see, if you have a live tree, you see your parents pouring water into the bottom to keep the tree moist. And that is because if the tree becomes too dry, even electric lights can catch a tree on fire. So you have to keep it real moist and keep it from drying out. So people had to be very careful years ago when they used actual candles, and many houses caught on fire and as a result. So they had to be very careful, but I'm sure it's very beautiful. I have never seen a real Christmas tree lit with candles. but I'm sure it's very beautiful. This tree is a little skimpy, isn't it? It only has like 1, 2, 3 layers of branches maybe, and but you can see that they have electricity in this picture, and so these are bulbs that are wrapped around the tree. And you can see that the bulbs are a little bit bigger than maybe some that we use today. Reminds me of the bulbs that my grandfather used to have on his tree. They were huge, and I loved the bulbs that he had on his tree. And I think they're starting to make them larger again. And but the old ones only work on real trees. They become too hot and burn and melt artificial trees. And but I just love them. And but here again, you can see they don't have very many decorations. A lot of people back in the early days made their own decorations, and because buying them was very, very expensive. This is a Christmas tree farm. This is where, a lot of people had to go back and cut their own trees down from their property. And someone got the idea that so many people are having trouble finding Christmas trees because they would have to walk for hours sometimes trying to find a tree that would be suitable to put in their house for Christmas. Well, somebody got the idea of they sent off to Switzerland, where there are most beautiful firs and evergreens, and they asked for seeds, and somebody in Switzerland sent them lots of seeds, and they planted the seeds and grew beautiful trees of all different kinds, where people could come to the Christmas tree farm and walk down rows and rows of trees and pick out the tree that they thought would be best for their house or for their living room. You could see tall trees and short trees and fat trees and skinny trees. And my grandfather started out cutting his own trees down, and then he started going to a Christmas tree farm and picking out his own. And he used to take me with him, but he never let me pick the tree out, because that was my grandfather's, one of his favorite things to do was to find the best Christmas tree, and he always liked to pick the tree. And so even as a child, I would never take that away from him, because I knew it was more important to him. And I'll never forget that about him. Now, this Christmas tree looks a lot like my grandfather's Christmas tree. He always liked one that did not take up the whole house, but he loved to have lots of beautiful ornaments on his tree, and he always put tinsel on it. And that is the silvery, shiny pieces that you see hanging straight down in a vertical position. You'll see those, that's tinsel. And they called it tinsel because they were first made out of tin, very, very thin slices of tin. And so that's where the name tinsel came from. Today they make them out of a different kind of material, some plastic, some mylar. But they still do make tinsel. We don't use it as much as we used to, but I think it might be coming back again. You might want to ask your parents to look for it. I've got a close-up picture here so you can see what it looks like. And this is what my mother let us do, was hang the tinsel. We weren't allowed to hang too many ornaments because my mom paid so much for her ornaments. A lot of them were made out of glass and the materials that would break if they fell. And so she was always afraid when we were little that we would drop them. So we waited until she got all the lights on and got all the balls and the ornaments hung on the tree, and then we got to do the tinsel. And that was to me the best part, and my favorite part of a Christmas tree. This Christmas tree, I wanted to show you a picture of this one because it is just so full. It's just a beautiful tree, and I love the shape of the tree. But most of all, I love all the ornaments on this tree. There's got to be hundreds on there. And there's all kinds of things that you can imagine that are associated with Christmas. And I love a tree like this, and I'm thinking about maybe pulling out some of my collection, because I have ornaments that I've been saving. You know, by the time you get my age, if you start saving them when you're young, I probably have hundreds, and I'm gonna start digging some of mine out, and see if I can get my tree to look something like this. This is an artificial tree that somebody came up with. They decided that since trees were so hard for people to find, and there were so many reasons that trees were hard for people to keep alive, or to put up, or to find, and so somebody came up with artificial trees, and this is almost a perfect tree. I mean, the branches are just perfect, aren't they? They all come out even on each side, and it's a beautiful shaped tree. And you pay for it one time, and then you've got it for years and years to come. You take it out of a box and put it together, and then when it's time to take it down, you pack it back up and store it until next year, so you always have it. Some of you might have had, your parents might have had their tree for many, many years. Some of you might use artificial trees. Now, this is an odd looking tree, isn't it? This is called a pencil tree, and it's designed for people who don't have room for a Christmas tree. This little corner might be the only space that this person has for a tree. And you can see they're not particularly fond of ornaments, because it looks to me like they're only using lights this year. I don't see any color to this tree and any ornaments, but everybody has their different taste and their different idea of what their tree should look like and what best suits them. So this is a very unusual looking tree, but still pretty tree. Here is an unusual looking tree, and you might not have ever seen one of these, but in the late 50s and the early 60s, that we started seeing these. When I was young, my parents would take us out at night when it got dark, would take us out, and we would ride around the neighborhood and ride around and look at Christmas trees, at people's Christmas decorations, but we also looked at their trees. And we kept seeing these trees that were silver, but as we would drive by, they would change colors. And so that was our favorite when we were little. We loved those trees where they kept changing colors. And my sister's favorite color was always green. She always loved the color green. So she always made Daddy stop until she could see the green. And then once the tree turned green, then we could move on. My favorite color was always red. But if you look at this down here on the floor, you can see right here there is a machine that has a light that's shining on the tree, and this little piece of plastic rotates, and it changes when it shines on the tree. Whatever color is behind, or what the light is behind, is what color the tree turns. So you see the tree, when the tree is behind, the light is behind the red, the tree turns red because it's actually silver, but the light turns red and makes it to look red. Then you see that it turns and goes to green, and then it turns and goes to yellow or gold, and then it turns and goes to blue, and then back to red again. So as this thing is turning, the tree is actually turning different colors. And my mom didn't really care too much for this tree because it was too modern for her. She liked more traditional styles, but she did one year surprise us and had bought, when we came home from school, a tree just like this was sitting in our house in front of the window. And we were so excited, and we kept it for years. And I love the fact that my mom sacrificed what she wanted to make us happy, and so that we would enjoy our tree. We eventually grew out of the love for that tree, and we let Mama go back. As we got older, we let her go back to her traditional green trees. But it was a lot of fun when I was a child having this tree in our house. This is mostly what my trees have looked like in the past. I always had a color scheme, and I always loved gold and white for some reason. So I kept everything gold ornaments, metal ornaments, and frosted ornaments. And I don't know why, I was just attracted to the gold and white for so many years with white lights. I always had to have white lights. My husband loves different color lights. but I always like the white. So we alternate one year all white, one next year all color. So this is what a lot of people do. This is called a color scheme. A color scheme meaning that you are focusing on one color throughout the entire tree. Here's another color. This is also a color scheme, and this person obviously loves blue. And it could be, I love the feathers sticking out of it. That's very unusual for a treetop. And people are doing more things like this and putting more beautiful things in their trees. And it's just things that they're attracted to and things that they like. You might have a tree like this. This is a blue and gold tree. Your parents might have chosen a color scheme tree. Oh, I went backwards, excuse me. Now here's a tree that has a theme. Now a theme means that they're sticking to one subject matter, and obviously this one is butterflies. So this person must love butterflies. I see red and blue and yellow or gold butterflies. So that's called a theme. Here is another theme. This one is the beach. You can see the turquoise colored ornaments represents the sea or the ocean. And then we have starfish white. They painted the starfish white. I see a lighthouse right here. There's an initial M that might be their last name. So this one you can tell is the theme is the beach. Our family loves the Wizard of Oz, and we have, my mom has a Wizard of Oz tree that has all ornaments from the Wizard of Oz. Some of them are Hallmark ornaments, the ones that make, that do music, play music, and their action, that something is going around or something's happening on them. And the top of the tree, I made an Emerald City, and put lots of sparkle on it, so it sparkles a lot. So that's what we have at our house, or my mom has at her house. Now this tree became popular some years back when my granddaughter was young, and this was her favorite, and so her mama did this for her for many years until she was grown. But this is what she wanted, and so her mom always, you can order this kit that has the snowman's hat and the nose and the sometimes a scarf, and it has the buttons and the things that go on the tree. But see, people choose their trees by subjects or the things that are their favorite. And in this case, my granddaughter was infatuated with Frosty the Snowman. This is the most famous tree to me, I think, in the world. And that's because most people that are living today are very familiar with Charlie Brown's Christmas movie. And I watched it when I was young and loved it. And I love Charlie Brown's little tree. You can buy these. I see them lots of places. When I was doing this video and gathering these pictures to do this slide presentation, I saw where you can still buy these trees, and I think I'm going to buy one to put in our camper, because I think we're going to do some camping around Christmas this year. And so I think I'd like to have a Charlie Brown Christmas tree. It's small, doesn't take much space, but it serves its purpose. And so I thought I would include that in this presentation, because hopefully you guys have all seen Charlie Brown's Christmas, because it's one of my favorite Christmas movies. Here are some trees for you to look at to get some ideas of what you might like to draw for yourself. They're just some that I found of some other drawings by other people, other children. I tried to include all kinds of shapes and all kinds of different ways of forming a tree. You can even, if you don't like any of these, and if you'd rather, you can draw a picture from me of your Christmas tree in your home if you already have it up. That would be awesome. I'd love to see what kind of Christmas tree you have decorated, or the kind that you have in your house. But I have these here available for you if you needed something to look at and needed an idea of some kind of Christmas tree that you could draw. So don't forget, I want you to take a picture of your tree, of your artwork, and be sure to send it to me. I look forward to seeing them. I'm not sure about next week's video, but just in case I don't come back on with another assignment for next week, I'm hoping that you guys will have a nice holiday, Merry Christmas, and I hope you stay safe. And I still miss you. So take care, and we'll see you either next week or after the first of the year. Bye-bye.